Brian, today I want to speak with you about the supplements because many people, they are interested in supplements and their benefits. And then I want to speak about the protection for radiation and 5G.
Okay. Well, first, most people think that all supplements are equal. And I did at one point too. When I started to do research and investigate this, I was shocked at how corrupt this field is. As a matter of fact, here in the United States, the Justice Department, back 22 years ago, called it the most corrupt industry in the history of American democracy. That they actually come together from all over the world, Europeans and Americans, and they fix prices. And what you're buying in most bottles are chemicals made in factories and laboratories in third world countries and paying thousands of times more for a product that's dangerous. Not only are you not getting what they say is in the bottle, but when you put it in the body, it's a chemical, so the immune system tries to push it out. So the very thing you're trying to achieve, better health, you're actually getting worse health with.
Yes. What stress do to our body, Brian?
Well, stress is the worst thing you can imagine because your hormones go high, the cortisol go high. So that means your endocrine system, not only your adrenal glands, but your thyroid gland, your lymphatic system, etc., starts to work in an unnecessarily high way. And that exhausts you. So they call it adrenal exhaustion, thyroid, where you can't sleep, women don't have libido, men can't think straight. I mean, it is horrible what stress can do to you. And enough stress can give you a heart attack or stroke. Enough stress is related to cancer. We know these things. And so the reality is, by being malnourished, not having enough nutrition, and the neurons in your body that have to resist this high cortisol and this stress cannot fight them. So this is why minerals and proteins are so powerfully important in you preventing and reversing stress.
Wow, yes. This is the role of nutrients in our body,
yes.
No? Yes. Yes, I think that we need today more than ever nutrients. But I want to ask you something, Brian. Why the natural supplements are most expensive than the synthetic one?
Once you create a chemical formula, you can make it very inexpensively. So ascorbic acid, which is most of the vitamin C on the market, is not vitamin C. But after they got that formula, and now it's a very competitive field, they can buy the products to make the supplement very cheap, and so they can sell it to you cheap. Our vitamin C, as an example, is made out of berries. It takes 3 days or more to create. So you've got to extract it from the berry. You've got to dry it without heating it to 42 degrees, 115. So once you do that, it's finished. The nutrition is gone. You've got to make sure you use the highest, cleanest, highest quality and cleanest products. So all of that costs money. And 98% of that's absorbed into the human cell. 0 of the chemical is absorbed into the human cell. It becomes a noxious waste, and the body's trying to push it out, not embrace it and grow from it.
Brian, it's true that some supplements are made from the same oil that I put in my car?
Absolutely. Most supplements, not some, most supplements, vitamin E as an example, is made out of turpentine quite often. The B vitamins made out of coal tar that they put on roads. This is petrochemicals. These are the same oil that your car, your engine has in it.
And what will you say to a person who say that the natural supplements are very expensive?
Well, but you need very little of the natural supplement. People, especially in the United States, are very interested in large numbers. We're Americans, so we like large. So you could take 18 zillion milligrams of something and get nothing, and you can take 10 milligrams of a food-based supplement, a living supplement, and get 9.5 grams of that. You're always going to lose something in the process of digestion, but not everything.
Do you think that children need supplements?
Even more than we do.
Yes, my daughter, I have all the supplements in a place, and she she take all the bottle and the protein powder. She eat it with the spoon.
That's so nice.
Yes.
So you have a healthy
Yes.
little one.
Yes, she eat the B12, chlorella, vitamin D. She take blue-green algae, all that she take, pollen. Yes.
Yeah, well, see, when you bring a child up, as I did, like yours, they appreciate this. They love it. If you gave my child a choice between candy and this, they'd take this. And I'm not saying this to impress you. You know this. You have a child like this. Yes. When you train the body for healthy things and the mind for healthy choices, that's what you choose. I had to work hard to give up ice cream and candy and cake. I was trained to eat those things. So for your daughter, it's natural to do this. For my children, it's natural. But for me, it was really difficult to do this. Yes.
Yes, but why do you think that children need...
They're growing. Their minds, their nervous system, their bones, their muscles are growing. Until you're 25, you keep growing. And the brain is part of that. Recognize it. So you and I have already stopped growing at 25, and we start shrinking very slowly, and by the time you're 60, a lot quicker, etc. Not to say we don't need nutrition, but we need it for maintenance. We don't need it for building. And so to make it overly simplified, you need double the nutrition, 2 times more nutrition in building than you do maintenance.
Wow.
Now you need what you need to maintain and what you need to build at the same point.
Yes. Brian, I know that last time you tell that 70% of the people that have lack B12.
Yes.
What is the reason that we lack?
What it is our gastrointestinal tract, our large intestine, devolved. Yes. A part of our tract, if you go back hundreds and hundreds of years ago, as I have, into medical journals, and look at the beautiful art that was there, this part is no longer there. And that part is, not to make this complicated, but you have the ileocecal valve, which is a small intestine. After it processes and digests the food, it comes out and pops into the large intestine. It used to go into this pocket, and it would culture the bacteria we call B12. Now this is lacking. It's not there. This anatomy is gone. So this is why we need every single day to get a source of B12. And unless you're eating an organic, plant-based raw diet, it has to be raw, you're not getting that. And even if you have been doing that recently, but you didn't do it for decades or for most of your life, the supplementing of B12 is incredibly important. Now, if you lack B12, by the way, you start to have memory loss and nervous system problems. And 70% lack B12, everywhere in the world, not just America.
What do you think about fish oil?
Fish oil is one of the biggest shams, lies I've ever seen on the marketplace. They didn't know what to do with the fish oil, so they got some corrupt doctors at universities to say how wonderful it was, and they said it's high in omega oils. Well, the largest study ever done was in the country of Finland, where the government put over 850,000 people, they cut them in half on fish oil and fish, half not. The people on fish oil and fish had 2 times more heart attacks and strokes. So 100% more heart attacks and strokes. They backed away from that. It contributes to cancer. It contributes to diabetes. It is contributing to arthritic conditions, rheumatoid conditions. Where does a fish get the omega oil from? The algae. So directly to the algae. I take numbers of algae every day.
What chlorella do to our brain?
Well, chlorella is an interesting algae. It's the second life form on the planet. First blue-green, and then this is sister blue-green algae. And it is the identical fat the brain's made of. Now, very, very few. So do I get good oils from nuts and seeds and sprouts? Yes, but they're not the identical fat, the exact fat the brain. Chlorella has that. It also, from the wonderful Asian studies that were done mostly in Japan, show us that it fixes your genetics. It actually, if you have weak genes, DNA, RNA, it actually helps to strengthen them. So your next generation is stronger than you. You're less vulnerable for diseases too in your lifetime. So I can't, it's a complete protein. I give it to athletes. They're stunned. They have less injuries and more strength, more endurance.
My daughter eats 20 a day. It's
Yeah.
okay, no?
So little children especially, the two things that I see they all love are algae from the ocean and chlorella. My children too, they had green faces all of the time from when they were 1 and 2 and 3 years old.
Because they feel they have
instinctually
more
got it.
nutrition.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Brian, I know that many women have hormonal issue.
Yeah.
What do you can tell me about hormone power?
Well, women and men have hormone problems. And if you look at what's happening with our sexuality alone, women, 65% of you fake orgasms. So that means you're making love. By the way, when you're making love, biologically you want to be satisfied. That's why we're making love. It's an instinct. And you have to make believe you're satisfied. Now why? Because your hormones are out of balance. And you're probably with the wrong mate. But the men, the same thing. 1/3 of people can't even have babies anymore because both the female and the male's hormones are out. But worse than that, young men in Europe and North America, 40-year-old young men, 50% cannot sexually perform. They have erectile dysfunction. It's hormone problems. And it's these estrogens we talk about. By the way, the highest amount of estrogen you get is from eating animal-based foods because the animals have all these deadly chemicals in. It's condensed. It's called bioaccumulation in the fish, in the chicken, in the turkey, in the pork, in the red meat, in the egg, in the milk, in the ice cream, in the cheese, in the yogurt, and the list goes on. And so those chemicals are estrogens too. So this blocks all of that. And by the way, when people are enduring breast cancer or other cancers, this is why we've made this, to prevent it and help you to reverse it. And to get your fun back in life too. You know, it's interesting, this particular product, a lot of bodybuilders use because men who have a hard time and women who have a hard time building muscle, it's because the hormones are out of balance. Women are too estrogenic with too little testosterone, this fixes this, and men are too estrogenic with too little testosterone, this increases testosterone.
Brian, I know that we have systemic enzyme and digestive enzyme, and I want to know the difference about.
The hyzyme is a digestive enzyme. So when you're eating a healthy diet, most of you didn't grow up eating a healthy diet. So your system, your digestive tract, your elimination canal is like an old rusty wheel. And it needs to start to turn and to be lubricated, etc. So the first 2 or 3 years you're eating raw food. Your body has a hard time breaking it down. Not because it's not the food you should be eating. It is the food, but you haven't been eating it. So when you take the digestive enzyme, it helps to break down the proteins, the carbohydrates, the fats, etc. Each one of those enzymes are in there to help you. I happen to take a large amount every day for anti-aging.
The same, I do.
Yeah, and why? Because it also brings electromagnetic frequency into my cell, so it puts a shield around it, preventing free radicals, which are the cause of aging. Systemic enzymes, if you went to a very advanced, civilized doctor in your continent, Europe, and she or he was working with somebody with a viral disease or cancer, they would be giving them systemic enzymes. Now, to make this simple for you to understand, these are protein-eating enzymes. Now, all bad guys are proteins. So cancers are proteins, viruses, bacteria. Healthy people can also take this that are super athletes. I can't tell you how many Olympic athletes and professional athletes I've given that to, and they rave about it. Because when you're out running or playing tennis or whatever it is you're doing, when you're ripping the muscle up, that's a protein. And it gets into your blood and creates inflammation. This eats them up. So it eats up the bad guys and eats up the inflammation. And so tremendously good for you.
I know that curcumin enhance, one pill, it's had the benefits of 1 kilo of turmeric.
Yeah, so when I really studied this, which I've done a lot of study on, the most amazing data I've ever seen on anti-inflammation is from curcuminoids. And they're the medicine within turmeric. The problem is white people like you and I, we don't get much benefit from eating turmeric. We could eat a pound of it, half a kilo of it, and get very little benefit. Because genetically, we're not predisposed to breaking it down and utilizing it. Where Eastern Indians, on the other hand, from millennia, for thousands of years, turmeric has been a big part of their diet. So when the West finally listened to the Indian doctors, when they said, we don't have dementia, they said, well, you must have dementia. And when they studied, they didn't have dementia. The only Indians that had dementia were people not eating Indian diets or who had lived in the West and moved back to India. Now, because they stopped taking the high turmeric. So when we do a supplement, we are very serious. We don't think first, how much can we make, but how much can we help? And so when I went to the company, they got angry at me because I said, to put in one pill the strongest medicine you've ever seen for curcuminoids, how much would it take? They said 2.3 pounds, which is a little over a kilo, slightly over. So we take that much, this much turmeric, take away the turmeric, and just the medicine is in one capsule. Wow. And so this is major anti-inflammatory. Now, inflammation is at the base of all disease, not the only cause for disease, but it's at the base of all of them.
Mm-hmm. Vitamin D. It's, Brian, vitamin D is good for anxiety. Is this true?
It's for many things. It's vitamin D, we should change the name. It should be called hormone D. It's a hormone, it's not a vitamin. And so when I first started to see the advent of lots of discussion about vitamin D, I thought it was exaggerated. I was wrong. The more we study that globally, the more important it becomes. In this viral problem that has been going on, people with exceptionally high vitamin D, not one of them had symptoms. The only way they knew they had the virus is they were tested. They were normal. They didn't have fevers, they didn't have headaches, they didn't have nausea, but they had the virus at high loads, but they had high vitamin D. When it comes to the emotions, as you said, it's a hormone, so it actually adjusts neuron function and neuron pathways. When it comes to the immunity, it is unbelievably supportive of eosinophils, basophils, nucleosides, the key white blood cells that fight the disease within your body. Vitamin D is really one of the most important nutrients out there. B12, vitamin D, phenomenally important.
And many people have deficiency in vitamin D.
As a matter of fact, here in Florida, 65% of people in this very sunny place where it's always sunny have a vitamin D deficiency. Wow. Can you imagine in Romania in the middle of winter?
4 months without sun, wow, no. Yes. B12, probiotic, Brian.
Well, that, thank God, modern medicine, not all of it, but a legitimate faction of them are now waking up. You know, we're coming out of the period of chemistry where it's utterly failed and hurt people. And they realize that nature, as we spoke earlier, doesn't have to be improved on. We have to be humble enough to research it, study it, and acknowledge it. We recognize that your entire well-being and your longevity depends upon your intestinal tract. Now, amazingly, the very first thing that grew in the human body was a gut. So when we were not human, the gut grew and we grew around and out of the gut. 70 to 80% of your immune system comes from healthy bacteria in your gut. Even more important for your mind, 90% of serotonin, which creates stability. So you don't have depression, you don't have schizophrenia, comes from the gut. And to have good serotonin, you have to have healthy bacteria. Now, we not only use this orally, and this generation, we took the most important research from the planet Earth, not just English and American, from German, from French, from Chinese studies. And we fashioned and modeled the best state-of-the-art probiotic today. And we can also take it out of the capsules when you're really sick, put it in fluid and put it up your hiney. and go right directly into the intestinal tract. This is something everyone should take every day.
I take every day
Yeah,
probiotic.
you need to take. And it's so powerful, you don't need lots. One or two is all you need. Yeah.
CoQ10.
CoQ10 is one of the most important antioxidants ever discovered. It's directly linked to heart health, directly linked to your immune function, and it prevents free radicals. So this is all alive and food-based. And, you know, you can see something which says CoQ10 or vitamin D or probiotics, but it's not going to be the same, I can promise you that.
Yes, I know. Yeah. Brian, here we do the milk, the almond milk, and we put the protein powder, yes, and we drink that. How is that drink?
Well, when we made this protein powder, my first objective is not only to give you protein. There's many good protein powders on the market. The good news is in the last 20 years, 25 years, there's been a growing group of good people putting plant-based organic proteins on the market. But nobody does what we do. Most of the protein we have, the base of it, is from shiitake mushrooms. So it's an exceptional protein that not only develops muscle quicker, but it also fights disease at the same time. So you're getting double the amount of benefit from it. And your exhaustion levels will be less. Even if you are healthy, but you over-exercise or lift too much weight, you'll have less exhaustion with the shiitake proteins in it.
Oh, yes. Circulation Max.
Yeah, this one is a great story. I mean, I started years ago with another man helping him create a product, and it was very good. But then new work came in, new science came in, and it was so impressive, I said, let's upgrade. And he wasn't interested, so we did it. And I worked with a triple PhD from Canada on this, and we created something that allowed your body to activate nitric oxide. Now, when we talk about circulation, it all comes down to nitric oxide. Way back 25 years ago, they gave a Nobel Prize to European scientists who showed us. If you have nitric oxide, it creates elasticity, flexibility within the veins, the capillaries of the body. As we age, naturally, unfortunately, it is natural, we get hardening of the arteries. And that elasticity is not there. So there's a rigidity. So the blood doesn't go the way it should and doesn't move and flow the way it should. And it's not a natural occurring movement like this. So we created the only supplement on the planet Earth that lets that happen and lets your older body create what your 20-year-old body would have done or 15-year-old body would have done. At the same point, not only does it help the heart, but it helps the brain, so mental acuity, capturing memory, and the most important, libido. To me, that's everything.
And it's very good.
It tastes good, yeah, it tastes good.
I put it in water.
I can't say enough about that. Every once in a while, I get a little arrogant myself.
Brain.
I created Conscious Brain because we see an ever-growing group of people from around the world with memory loss, dementia, and Alzheimer's disease. My generation, they call the baby boom generation, they expect in the next 20 years that 1/4 of us will have Alzheimer's disease. What that means to the listeners is 1/4 of us will not know we have a wife, will not know we have a husband, won't know we have children. We'll be completely out of it. And so for that reason, we stepped up after a Stanford University study and said, let's create something better than Stanford suggested. And I'm not saying without this Stanford study, I wouldn't have done this. So congratulations to Stanford. They gave me the scientific basis of it. And we formulated something several times stronger. And I never took it till 3 years ago, because I said to Anna Maria, who I've been married to now for 40 years, I don't need it. And she smiled. Now, as much as I may think my memory is as good as it was at 20, it's not. And so I started to take it within 2 months. My memory went back to when I was 20. I can remember subtle things and nuances and details like I couldn't remember. There's not another product I can promise you anywhere on the market, anywhere in the world that comes close to this. That this allows the brain to start working again.
Wow. How much vitamin C we need to take every day, Brian? We need to take every day?
I think vitamin C is important for people every day. Now, if you're not eating vitamin C in your diet, and there's lots of good, healthy, organic foods, biological, ecological foods you can eat, and most people don't, you can never get enough food-based vitamin C. It was the very first antioxidant. It was the very first thing way back in 1954 that they said, if you don't want to age, you don't want to get sick, you don't want to have a disease, take vitamin C. And sadly, the vitamin C's on the market, once again, are chemicals. And they're not food-based. And even the food-based ones are processed and cooked. They're not created with care. Let's put it that way. This is created with utter care. And if you just took one a day, you're going to have less stress, biologically, psychologically. You're going to have a greater body strength. You're going to have stronger immune system. You're going to have far less aging. You're going to age much slower. Remember, it's vitamin C and nitrogen that gave birth to the first life form. And wouldn't it be nice to think of yourself as a life form that needs enrichment and enhancement? And so vitamin C is incredibly important.
I take 2 a day.
That's wonderful. No wonder you look good.
Thank you.
Yes.